Hey Tim.
Hey, Mark.
Hey everybody.
So today we want to get a little more specific on something that I think you and I are both passionate about, and that is the knees over toes books, the exercises,
Yep.
things like that, that I think you have used probably even more than me to do knee bulletproofing is
hmm
what,
Trying to do that. Yeah.
yeah, it's what he called it.
Right.
So, and he is Ben Patrick. He has a company that's called ATG,
hmm
which stands for
Uh,
Athletic
Athletic Truth Group.
Truth Group
I think it used to be called Athletic Training
Training
Group,
Group.
right?
And
Yeah.
and I'm
Okay.
sure if somebody out there knows, comment down below. You can tell us for sure. But anyway, believe they're out of Florida. I think that's one of his first gyms was,
hmm
and I came across him because I see this guy going from basically saying he couldn't touch the rim or hardly anything else to being able to dunk.
Yeah. And
And
not only
so,
dunking, just standing under the rim
yeah,
and then jumping
yeah.
and dunking. Yeah.
So we've all
Yeah.
seen those shoes where you basically have no heel.
hmm
I have a pair of those,
Yeah.
right? The old jump soles or whatever,
Yeah.
back from the '90s. And so I'm kind of looking that stuff up, going, well, how can I learn how to jump higher? And I come across this guy, and then I go down the rabbit hole of ATG, and which eventually became knees over toes. And
Yeah.
Mark and I start talking about it, and Mark can probably tell you a lot more because he's read the book, and I've just kind of watched the videos. So
Yeah. Yeah. If you've noticed for any amount of time, and I'm thinking, probably our first set of viewers are some of our basketball group and things like that. If you've noticed for any period of time at all, you don't mention knee pain without one of us immediately going into ATG or
have you heard of this guy?
KOTG, knees over toes guy. That's kind of what he's knees over toes guy. I think is kind of
Yeah.
his nickname out in the world. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Ben Patrick. So what I got, I think you were, as we said before, you were the first one to introduce me to him. I ordered his book and I read it, and it's a pretty quick read. I'm not an avid reader. It's
Mm-mm.
big words. It's maybe a not even an inch thick. It's a lot of pictures and stuff too, and
Mm-hmm.
graphs and stuff. So you go through it pretty quick. I think I read it in a matter of a day or two, um, and put some of the stuff to work. Some of it was right here in this basement, just body weight stuff, really basic
So if you
things.
ask you a question, because it might help the viewers understand maybe a
hmm
little more about him, if you had to say what are his principles
hmm
that you learned from the book?
Um, and I was thinking about this before we recorded. I wish I had sold the book. Uh, Side note was I started an Amazon business, and that was the very first book I sold through Amazon FBA. But
It's popular.
very popular. That's why I sold it. If I just from memory now, and it's been 6 months now, is just utilizing full range of motion
Okay.
and building strength through that entire full range of motion.
Yep. I would say
And
that's
starting
absolutely number one.
yeah, starting from wherever you're at, doing what you can do without pain.
Yeah.
And that was the mistake I was making, was pushing through the pain, so to speak, which he goes through it in the book of why
Mm-hmm.
that's not good. The other thing that was counterintuitive to the way we were brought up in the 80s and things like that through high school sports, 90s and high school sports and things like that was when you're lifting with your knee or doing anything with your knees, you keep your knees behind your toes.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy is all about putting the knees over the toes intentionally with your exercises, things like that. And again, doing it without pain, etc. Um, so he goes through it in his book and just walks you through the science of why, and then I think there's 4 or 5, maybe even 6 different principles of motion that he talks through.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a chapter on the science of it and the why, and walks you through it. And it's just like you're like reading it. And I think I even said out loud, "Well, duh."
It's a
Um,
bit like a epiphany,
right,
but an epiphany that you're like, why didn't I already have this?
right,
Yeah.
right. And then an exercise or three,
Mm-hmm.
depending on what it is, of how to build up to it. And we mentioned before, he starts from basics. I even said the very first exercise is walking backward for 10 minutes. Until you can do that without pain, you don't
Move on to the
you
next
don't
step.
move on. And that's why he calls it knee ability zero. He's assuming you can't even do that.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you can't do that, like you said, just walk forward for 10 minutes
Yeah.
until you can't,
Yeah.
or until you can do it without pain. So
Yep.
um, it was literally a life changer for me because, I used to play basketball and I loved it so much. And I would literally be dang near truly handicapped for 2 or 3 days afterwards. I could barely walk up and down stairs without some sort of support. If there were no handles, I was hurting. I'm pulling myself up, supporting
Uh-huh.
myself down.
I'm calling Mark to go, hey, you want to play basketball on Wednesday or Thursday or whatever it was? And he goes, I'm still hurting from Sunday. I'm like,
Right.
come on, old
Uh,
man.
and then,
I'm sorry, old guy.
old guy, right? OG. To, you know, did that maybe on a Wednesday for the first time, and I was able to do most of the exercises, and then playing ball on a Sunday, and then immediately, like on Monday, feeling like I was ready to play ball again, and it just blew me away. So I committed a month to actually doing the exercises, and it, like I said, literally changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've got a lot of stairs in my house.
Yeah.
Just notice, it's not hurting walking around the house anymore. Things like that. So again, very quick read. If
Yeah.
you read fast or anything like that, like my daughter probably get through it in a half hour as fast as she reads. But somebody like me, I don't read a lot. I got through it. I don't think it was more than 2 days. It
Yeah.
might have been just one day.
Well, and it's one of those books too where if you're like me, you read it and then you pause to kind of think about, okay, what did that actually mean and how, and you start kind of almost making a little bit mental notes or
Right.
side notes
Right.
because like, okay, these are some of the things I got to pull out of here
Right.
in order to remember to put these in practice or use stuff or
Right.
whatever, right?
Right.
So we will put a link in the description to where you can go on Amazon and purchase the book or several of his books if you're interested in going beyond the Knee Ability Zero book. Um, Again, we're big advocates because I haven't really had any knee problems, but I don't want to either, right? So for me, it's an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? If I can learn how to do the Paul Quinn step, which he talks about in the book, and we'll demonstrate some of these things eventually at some point, but Paul Quinn step to kind of learn how to get my knee over my toe, or doing full range of motion squats, or whatever it is, walking backwards up a hill. I know one of our chiropractor friends, likes to drag his sled uphill backwards, right? These different things to kind of, strengthen your knees and your hips and create mobility and those kind of things to keep yourself from feeling older than you actually are, which is the goal. So
Yeah, and
anyway,
he comes at it from a prevention. I'm going at it from a cure because I've had nothing but knee problems for
right.
30 plus years now. No, not 30
And
plus. Anyway,
one of the
yeah, I
stories
can
he
say 30
talks
plus
about,
years. Yeah,
is that if he'd have known then what he knew now,
right.
that he probably wouldn't have had the problems he had with his knees and basically ended his college basketball career because of it. So
Yeah.
anyway, very inspiring. I'm sure as we go down this rabbit hole, we'll get more into some more specifics and talk more about him. But I think that's probably where we should call it for today. Again, link in the description for the book. It's not very expensive. What, less than $30?
Oh, I'd say it's less than 15 bucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not very expensive. And if 15 or 20 or $30 isn't enough, is too expensive for you, I get it. But if you've got knee problems and can't walk up and down stairs, go get the book. It will certainly help you. If nothing else, you could do like Mark did: buy it, read it, get what you need, and then sell it.
Sell it back.
Yep.
Yep.
So again, Mark and I, OG Sports, we really appreciate you checking us out. Like, comment, subscribe, all those things they always tell you to do. And we'll see you in the next video.
Yep. Thank you.